This is March 19th of 2020. Around us there's difficulties in the United States. So instead of focusing on that, and there's a lot of that going on right now, let's focus on something else. Let's focus on that room where family comes together, or at least where family should come together. I'm talking about the kitchen. Of course. Think about it. Food, one of the most intimate things that we do. It's a coming together point for family, and it should be. There should be extra chairs in the kitchen just for family. So I'll tell you what, we're going to be getting in the kitchen. We're going to make us a meatloaf, and this is going to be kind of a Southwestern version on a meatloaf. It's going to be really good. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm shooting from the hip on this one. This is just another recipe being invented right here on Texas Cooking Today, right in front of the camera. I enjoy doing this, and I'm able to do this because I have a good, strong understanding of flavors and how they interact with each other. And the flavors I'm going to put together for you today, well, they just hop. They're really good. This is meatloaf. Let's get in the kitchen, look at these ingredients. Before I head in there, let me remind you, please take a look at my channel, Texas Cooking Today. A lot of recipes there, plus there's links in the description down below there for this recipe, for my other channel, Chef Trotters Tips, and for my website too. So if you want to, please take a look at all those. Now let's get in the kitchen and let's get busy inventing meatloaf, a Southwestern version. Come on. Some beautiful ingredients that I have here. Starts with the meat. I'm using a big old chuck roast. I'm going to grind this up. We're going to turn this baby into meatloaf. This is the nice thing about keeping plenty of large cuts in the freezer. Sometimes you just need to pull out a piece of meat and turn it into whatever special item you would like. That's what we're doing today. Now also with this, we got some onion going on and garlic, and back over here some sage, cumin, paprika. This is optional. This is some bourbon. Got some chipotle sauce here. Right over here some cheddar cheese, yeah. And yay for the tomatoes. Tomatoes make a dish like this just jump and sparkle. This is diced tomatoes in their own juice. Folks, let's grind this dude up and get busy making some meatloaf. This is a chuck roast, and chuck roast is actually a grouping of muscles. It's from the front shoulder, and they often will just come apart along each of the muscle groups, as you can see they're doing here. There's one here, 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 and here, and all of those will come apart. Now if you take these apart kind of where they naturally grow together, it'll make cutting this up just a little easier. That's what I'm doing here. I'm keeping the fat. Every bit of the fat stays, okay? So I'm not worried about the fat content, because that's a good thing when it comes to this. So I'm going to cut this down just a little bit into some pieces that are going to fit inside of this up here. It's got a narrow feed tube, and I need my meat to fit down in there well, okay? This I'm going to shorten it a little bit into some workable pieces, and I want to make some lengthwise cuts. There we go. There we are. Now these cuts like this will fit down in that tube, and they'll grind up a lot faster for me, and that's the reason I like to do that. Okay. So if you've never used a grinder before, this is sort of a nice lesson for you. And if you think they're novel or something like that, hey, trust me, having a grinder is a wonderful thing. I've been using mine for many years now. I can't imagine not grinding my own meat now. Ever since I've had, home ground meat, I don't want the way they do it in the store. And the thing of it is in the store, the package will be labeled as one thing, and there's no guarantee that that's what you're getting. You hope that's what you're getting. You hope that you can trust that butcher, that you're getting exactly what's written on that label. But you know what? At the end of the day, if it says ground chuck and it's actually ground brisket, there's no way you're going to know. All right? Here we are. So, time to grind this guy up. Meat grinders, they come as manual or electric. This is one that attaches to my mixer. Now the mixer is a very brawny machine. It's got a lot of muscle and it's going to be able to do this easy. So, here we go. And back here is a plunger that I can use. Don't ever stand in front of one of these, okay? Please know that right now. There we go. If you stand in front, sometimes they spit, just like it did right then. And when they spit, it can be quite a distance too. So just stay out of in front of them. If you have long fingers, keep them out of that feed tube. As you can see, even at a medium speed, this does not take long to get her done. Isn't that nice? Whoop! Just spit again. And at a higher speed, they'll spit harder and further. Now folks, there's a couple of lessons that I want to teach here today. One about garlic and one about an onion and how to cut those safely. Okay, so what we're going to do, let me break out another knife here. I've got two knives I'm going to use for this. I can use one knife, but I frankly like mincing garlic with this little guy. So I'm going to be doing that, all right? I'm going to set him over there. Now please notice I keep my blades turned away from me. That's one of the little lessons that I learned in time. The lesson I learned was once my blade was turned like this. Now part of the blade's in contact with the board and not so dangerous, but this back here was sticking straight up and my hand came across it. Being that I keep my blades razor sharp, it opened me wide up, right up, and I was bleeding everywhere. So do yourself a favor and just learn from someone else's mistake. Keep that thing turned that way. All right, now I want to take the onion, we're going to remove the top, I'm going to take these outer layers off of it, and we're going to get started processing this. Before I do that, let's remember when you're dealing with a knife whose blade like this is wider than the handle area, you want to hold it safely, and that means choking up on that handle. Pull your hand forward until this middle finger right here touches the inside crook right here of that blade, okay? Take the thumb and the forefinger and pinch the blade, okay? And you can pull back a little bit so you're not directly against it, but that's the way you want to hold it. And the idea here is this blade will not, at this point, roll. I'm trying to turn it, it will not turn because of the way I'm holding it, okay? If I was holding it like this and applying pressure, then it can roll, it can pop sideways, and that may have happened to you before. It can roll this way, that way, and it's dangerous when it does it. So choke up a little bit, hold it like this, and you're going to be a little bit safer on all of this, okay? Now I want to take this onion, we're going to cut that stalk end off, keeping the root end intact. This is just kind of an old trick. The onion has a tendency to weep its juices out the ends very fast, like this one has started doing. And if you cut that root end, I want to tell you this again from experience, it puts out a lot more juice from the root end. So I make it a point only to remove this end, leave that intact because it holds things together while you work it. All right, now I'm going to take this and get it cleaned up over at the sink. Next thing I want to do is to cut my onion down. Now there's a couple of ways of dicing an onion out, and I want to get into that today. Two ways, okay? You'll see a lot of chefs do this first method, and that is where they cut sideways this way and then make cuts this way and then make cuts this way, all right? And that makes perfect dice. Let me show you a second way of doing that though, and it makes just as good of a dice, all right? The next way we have of doing that is instead of halving the onion, we quarter the onion. Yay for quartering. Okay, so what we're going to do this time is I'm going to cut straight down right here. And I'm going to cut straight down again right here. I'm going to roll that over. We're going to make another cut right here. And guess what, folks? Watch this. There's your diced onion ready to go. Now, how's that for good looking? Delicious looking, right? Now, here's the thing. I've got a couple of long pieces there. You get a fairly good dice this way, all right? Don't be afraid to give that a try. It's a little bit safer than the other method, which is commonly taught to chefs. The other way, and this is really cool, I want to teach this because I want you to do it the right way. When you're making sideways cuts like this, if you're right-handed, never cut this way. This is called the suicide cut. The knife can slip loose and it comes straight backward towards your gut. And the reason they call it the suicide cut is because they've had to put people back together who have accidentally disemboweled themselves with the wrong technique. So turn it this way and always cut this way. Now if you're left-handed, the same thing. Turn it and cut this way and never like this. All right. It's a little harder to learn that, but it's always a good lesson to learn it. I want to come up a little bit off of the ground on my onion. Now, when you're doing this, the onion's going to bite down on that blade and it's going to get real hard to move. Take the blade and just give it a twist, just a little sideways twist like this. See that? It lifts it up. And when you do that, it allows air between the onion and that blade. See how I've got my fingers together? They're on top. They're not back here. I'll cut myself if they're back here. Put them on top. Okay? So there we go. And I think I have loosened my centerpiece. So the next cut, straight down. All the way across. And then we can cut our dice. Isn't that sweet? Okay, now here's the thing. In teaching y'all how to dice an onion, I cut a little more onion than I actually need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use about 1.5 cups of this, and the rest I'm going to bag up to use in other dishes. It's time that we process this garlic. Now the first little lesson I want to show you, this is a trick I learned about removing that paper husk on the garlic. Give it a little twist in your hand. Not hard enough to break the clove underneath, because there it is. Just hard enough to break the paper, and you'll hear it crackling. Okay, there we go. See how that paper comes right off? All you have to do is just break it free from the surface. There we go. And it's ready to come off. That one was a little bit stiffer. Isn't that a neat way of doing that? And understand something. I don't have a garlicky smell on my hands, even though I have gloves on. But I'm not getting a garlicky smell because there's no release yet. These haven't had the meat broken, and so there's no oils released and no smell. Great way of doing it. To mince my garlic, I'm going to first remove that callus off of the end. I just don't like that in my food, so I go ahead and take it out. And I believe it's just good cooking practice to clean up what you're working with by doing little things like that. Again, this is a good time. If this is a new technique for you, you can choke up on this and pinch that blade. However, this particular technique allows you to come back on the handle a little bit if you want, if it's more comfortable. And that's because you have a second hand controlling whether the blade rolls or not. And that hand is this one over here, where we took our thumb under and put the fingers on top of the back of the blade there. And that way it provides control this way, you see that? And this hand provides control up and down. All right, so that's how we do that. Actually, I just sliced a little piece of it right there. So that's how we handle doing garlic. Now, one thing I want to say, don't just try to go at it. First, crush the garlic. Now, there's a reason we crush the garlic. We crush that garlic to make it easier. It's not going to roll around on me now. Okay, very carefully. This is not something where you need to be worried about speed. You need to be worried about doing this the right way, which is
a simple up and down motion like this. Keeping the thumb under. If something flies off the board, don't worry about it. Just let it hit the floor and ignore it. It doesn't need to be in your food at that point. Okay, and what I'm doing is knocking down some of the bigger pieces to smaller pieces because I want to fine mince this. So there we go. We have something of a controllable mess right there. Okay, so here we go. This is where we go mincing through it. And I'm going to teach you one more little technique about this. When you're mincing, if your blade is absolutely vertical like this when you're mincing, then you're going to mince okay. But if you'll angle it just slightly, now let me exaggerate. If you'll angle the blade just slightly, about like so, when you're doing the mincing, it seems to do a better job. Don't ask me why. I haven't figured it out yet. I've just noticed that that is the way it works. Now normally I do this a little further up. See how I just take a little more in and go at it? Okay, so there I have, the first mince was a coarse mince. Now I have a medium mince right there. Isn't that nice? Easy, easy way of doing this. And I don't have to worry about cleaning out a garlic press or anything like that. I hate cleaning those things. They're a real pain in the rear. Stuff gets clogged in them and then it just stays there and it's like, oh great, there it is. Now, here we go. Let's get this done. We have it. Fine minced garlic, quick and easy to do. Never be afraid to do your own garlic mincing. You don't have to buy that stuff in a jar. It's not needed. I'm getting all of my goodies ready to go here. What I want to do is I want to start with my cumin. I'm going to remove the lid and I'm just going to measure out. Whoop, there's 1 teaspoon right there. There we go. Come on, very gently, a little more. 2 teaspoons right there. And you might say, oh, you're just guessing at that. Come on. Well, kind of. Once you've measured stuff into your hand so many times, you get a feel for how much it is. And I did that for many, many, many years. And so I have a feel for what it is to measure out a certain amount. 2 teaspoons right there. Now, believe it or not, when I was a kid, there we go, 1 teaspoon, I got turned on to doing this particular method, 2 teaspoons, by this Cajun chef named Justin Wilson. He was so fun to watch. Let me tell you, what a character. Anyway, I would watch him and I learned a lot of interesting technique from him. I can't say it was the end all be all because there was other folks I was watching. There's people like Julia Childs. I watched her when I was a boy. I also watched Jacques Pepin. My goodness, there were so many of them. And I took advantage of any opportunity to learn about cooking. Now here we go with our onions. Okay, I'm just going to start with a little bit of it. And if you want to add some salt to this, you can. I didn't put it onto the recipe because, you know, some folks can't have salt. I want to add a little bit to mine, not a whole lot, just a bit. And if there's any on the board, that doesn't matter. Here's the thing. We're mixing all of this together on the board, all right? And I might make a little bit of a mess, but you know what? In life and in the kitchen, sometimes a little bit of a mess just happens. Okay, here we go. Now what I want to do is work this thoroughly. And I want to be straight up with you folks. Do I need a binder? Well, not really. Have you ever seen people use a binder in a hamburger patty? They don't use binders in hamburger patties. No, they just press the thing together and move on with life. And so your meatloaf is kind of the same way. There's no sense in making it heavy and dense by adding in stuff that it just doesn't need. Now, the onion is something I don't normally do, but it is something a lot of folks do, all right? So this time, I decided to include some onion in mine, and who knows, maybe a little bit too much, but I think in the end, it's going to come out all right. So, let me roll that a few more times just to make sure all my ingredients are thoroughly and well combined. I don't want to miss any of it. Alrighty, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to press it out. Okay, I want it flat and kind of oval. Alright. Whoops, tore apart. It's okay. We press it back together. It's not a big deal. We can heal it. I'm losing a few of my onions flying out the side. And the thing of it is I ain't gonna lose any sleep over it, okay? In the end, it's not a big deal. Now, it's time to get that cheese on there. Plenty of cheese. I want a good thick layer of it. Remember, there's a lot of cheese here. Now, let's get that layer as even as I can get it. And this is something I have done before. So the whole cheese thing on the inside of the meatloaf, it works. It's delicious. Folks love it. And I have kind of gotten to where I just don't want to do a meatloaf without it. Okay, now I'll roll this. And it does not have to be perfect, okay? All right, this is a big meatloaf, okay? So what I want to do, I want to kind of roll it over and seal it off where it meets right here. And this is the side I'm going to put face up right here. See how I'm sealing down those ends? Nice and pretty. And there we have it. One meatloaf. Oh, isn't that beautiful? A neat way to do a meatloaf. And lots of flavor there too. I can't wait to dig in. Next, I need to get my meatloaf into the pan I'm going to cook it in. Alrighty, my dish for my meatloaf. Right down in there. Beautiful. So, got my meatloaf in the pan. Now I'm going to get my tomatoes on top of that and that bourbon in there too. Now, folks, what I have done is mixed all of those ingredients together inside of that meat. And when I was finished, I pressed it out flat, put the cheese on it, and then rolled it out into a log, which is what you see here. That log right there is what I rolled out. Or rolled together, I should say, after I put the cheese on it. Now I need to put my bourbon in here. Now what this is going to do is just going to add a flavor to this. The alcohol in it will cook off, and it'll cook off early, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry about that at all. We're only looking for the flavor from that. The alcohol boils at 173 degrees. Water boils at 212. The first thing that boils or evaporates out of this pot is the alcohol. Right now, I need to get these over the top, and I'm just gently pouring them in. There we go. Now, I need a lid on this. I need to put it in an oven for 350 degrees, and it's going to be in there, oh goodness, I don't know how long. We're going to check the inside of it, and when the inside's 165 degrees, it's finished cooking. Until then, it stays in the oven. There it is, folks. That's not too hard, is it? It's time to get this in our oven. Let's go ahead, put a lid on it, and get it in there. I've just finished getting that little gem in the oven. Got a timer here. Now, I'm going to explain something. There's a lot of variables when it comes to timing a dish that you've just invented. Okay, we got 3 pounds of meat. Okay, it's going to take a certain period of time to cook that much mass I added a little more mass to it in the form of a better part of an onion. Okay, plus 8 ounces of cheese, even more. Okay, so there's a lot there to heat up. Here's the thing of it. Also, cast iron pan, take into consideration your altitude, there's a lot of factors. So since you can't guarantee the meat's going to be cooked properly, you got to use a thermometer. And that's just part of it. Learning good cooking practices, and in the modern age of cooking, it's a very smart thing to do. It's less than $20 to get you an awful fine one, okay? So it's for your own safety. Please get a chef's thermometer. We're looking for a core temperature no lower than 165, and it can be a little warmer if we would like it to be. So folks, cooking up the meatloaf, starting with 1 hour. I'm going to give it plenty of time. The quantity of everything that we used today started with this guy right here. It's 3 pounds of beef chuck. All right, you can use other ground meat, but the beef chuck has a good flavor with enough fat to really bring out a special dish. Now here we have an onion. Any kind of onion will do. I used a white onion today. We've got some garlic. Now, so we know the quantities. I used about 1.5 cups of the diced onion. On that garlic, you need about 3 to 4 cloves of fine diced garlic. And to that we use 2 teaspoons of sage, 2 teaspoons of the cumin, 3 teaspoons of paprika, 3/4 cup of that bourbon, 1/4 cup of a nice chipotle sauce, 8 ounces of shredded cheddar cheese. I like using an extra sharp cheddar. And here's 15 ounces of tomatoes diced in their own juice. And ladies and gentlemen, that equals delicious. Let's take a look at this beautiful meatloaf. I can't wait to eat this. The Dutch oven behind me is rather warm. This got a nice texture to it. It's holding itself together. You didn't need a binder. Oh yeah. Oh, this is a winner. I knew it was going to be good, but man, I didn't know it was going to be like that. You have to pardon me for a minute. Okay. I certify this as one that's going to go in my permanent file. Okay? It's just that good. The meat is delicate, light, well flavored. Just the right amount of spice, folks. It's really, really good. It's tender, juicy. Got that cheesiness going on to it. The sauce that's around the outside of it has a light bourbon-like flavor, but it's not overwhelming with it. It's just slightly woody. The chipotle sauce in it doesn't really stand out in and of itself. It just adds a richness and a full-bodied side to it. It's really good. Folks, thank you for watching this. If you would, take a look at the rest of my channel. Tell you what, take a look at the episode number on this video, and then you can decide if you want to see the rest of my channel. But appreciate you watching this one, I really do. Please take a look down in the description. You're going to find those links there. Link for the recipe, link to my website, link to Texas Cooking Today, which is this channel, as well as my other channel, Chef Trotters Tips. Folks, thank you very much, and please enjoy that meatloaf. It's a good one. Oh, yeah. Come to Papa. All is set up with my F8 settings at 1660 speed. So I need to turn this guy on. See, all of this before each and every video. Okay, so we'll turn this guy on. Maybe I'll use this like an Easter egg in one of my videos. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
This very clip right here on in the back camera, watching the front camera, watching the background lighting come on, and yeah, what a lot of folks just only see the one camera and don't realize that that's not a green screen that I fill in color in. That's actually I do my own background. That's pretty cool. Oh, hold it. Let me think. I'm not supposed to be touching your face right now. However, I just did. Now, this is... Oh my God, hang on. Let me stop. So this is March the 19th. This is a day that we're going to be focusing on meatloaf. Now I thought right now at this time, hold it, let me stop right there. Damn it. How about I just stop this clip and we get rid of this one? We're going to start over and it'll be the recipe version.